Okay, could you please give me your full name as is recorded on your birth certificate?
Edward Allen Harrah.
Do you have a nickname?
Uh, well, yes, a couple of them.
Okay.
Well, when I was going to high school, I had real curly hair,
Uh-huh.
and one of the teachers said, "It's a shame you having all that pretty hair and you won't even comb it."
Uh-huh.
And said one of these girls would give her any kind of money to have a hair curly like that. But one of my buddies said, "Yeah," said, "take a hay rake to straighten his head out."
Uh-huh.
So everybody called me hay rake.
Oh, I see.
So then, when I got over into Korea, there's one of them Chinamen trying to sneak up on us,
Uh-huh.
and I shot him.
Uh-huh.
And they said that place was mine, and don't go down in there. See, well, the company commander checked down there the next day and took a rifle off of him
Uh-huh.
and gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
The guys were talking about it. Said it was dark out last night. He said no moon or no nothing. He said, now how did he see to shoot that guy between the eyes?
Uh-huh.
And one of the guys said he must have eyes like a cat.
Uh-huh.
So the Army guys called me Cat.
Oh, I see.
So,
Okay.
it worked that way.
All right. Where were you born and raised at, sir?
Big Pigeon, West Virginia. That's over in Roane County.
Okay. All right. Where did you spend the majority of your time after leaving the military? Were you here around this area or in Clay County?
I live in Clay County.
Okay.
We moved in right about 200 feet from where my wife was born. Lived there ever since that, in 1972.
Okay. All right. What was your job in the military when you first went in the Army?
Well, after I got through all the training, they sent me over to Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and I had orders to go to the 3rd Infantry Division, but they hadn't got out of that trap yet. They hadn't regrouped.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed my orders to the 7th, and I went to George Company, 31st Infantry. That's in, I got there about the 1st of January, 1951.
Mm-hmm.
And they reforming a squad, and they just, sergeant, first staff sergeant, called back from reserve,
Mm-hmm.
and they made him squad leader. Well, the guy was a machine gunner when they was up in the Chosin Reservoir. They made him assistant squad leader. And I was the next one there, and they said, well, the next guy gets to be AR. So they took my new, this corporal smiled, he said, oh boy, I get me a new rifle, even the cosmoline's not off of it.
Uh-huh.
And I hadn't cleaned it up very good.
Uh-huh.
And so they took my rifle and gave me an old beat up AR. It looked like it went through World War I.
Uh-huh.
And so I carried that thing for 11 months. And, well, instead of having carried it the whole year, we moved up, we relieved the 2nd Division in, I think it was October, on Heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And the company runner I think he'd rotated back to the States. And I asked this guy, at one time he was my assistant on the BAR, but he got promoted and made sergeant first class.
Mm-hmm.
And full-blooded Indian from Oklahoma, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, green old buddy, how about putting me in for company runner?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting carrying that BAR.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, see what I can do. And about an hour later, he come back and said, move your gear up there, by the old man Mucker there, and you're a company runner now.
Hmm.
So I stayed there. I was a company runner for about a month, and we moved off of Heartbreak to another hill, and they give me my BAR back.
Oh.
So,
What were some of the duties as being a company runner?
well, sometimes I have to bring him a little bit of something to drink.
Uh-huh.
But no, just taking messages. He'd be up on that hill, and if we make a run down there. If they have a note message or something for him, I take it up and give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
See, he's up on top of the hill. They didn't have a communications set up like it would down in back in the down off the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just keep me out of trouble there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that was.
I see.
But,
Okay. What would you say you would remember most about your time in Korea?
well, one thing I remember getting the helmet shot off my head,
Uh-huh.
and we riding on tanks, and the company was going out on patrol,
Mm-hmm.
and we right by the Han River. So what they done, they set up had two tanks and a half track with a 50 caliber machine guns mounted on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we was going along the road, and they went the people up on the hill. They run into a whole bunch of Chinese up there,
Mm-hmm.
and they was having a firefight and messed around. They started getting. What the guys would tell me afterwards, they were getting short on ammunition, so they decided to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
So they pulled back, and they said, we're moving out. So we jumped up on those tanks, and this guy was backing that tank up, getting in line. He's going to be this last tank out. And they start, you see bullets from a machine gun hitting the ground there, right? The guy with a machine gun, he's shooting low,
Mm-hmm.
and some guys with rifles shooting high, and I heard a bullet go past my ear.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a whiz went past there, and I pulled my head down like that, and the next bullet hit my helmet and knocked it off my head.
Hmm.
About that time, I done like a bullfrog. If you stuck a match to your rear end,
Uh-huh.
I jumped over the gun turret and told that guy, I said, "Gala, let's get the hell out of here." I said, "What?" I said, they just shot my helmet off my head. Let's go.
Uh-huh.
So we threw in the forward gear, and we took off and got away from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when I got down there, we had one of the guys said, when they got ready to pull out, well, one of the guy got hit. I don't know whether it was shrapnel or rifle fire or what,
Mm-hmm.
but the squad leader told this guy, maybe the name of Hood, to help carry him back off the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another guy volunteered. He wanted to get out of there, so I'll take him.
Mm-hmm.
So he grabbed hold of that guy and went off the hill. And Hood, he just stayed where he's at. And everybody else pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was up there by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he realized everybody was gone but him. He got up out there and slung a rifle over his shoulder and walked off the hill. People shooting at him and everything. They were going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, when did you decide to evacuate the hill? He said, when something knocked a tree limb off right above my head.
Yes. Hmm.
So, then I helped Sergeant Green. There must have been two guys in this bunker
Uh-huh.
throwing grenades. They had two in the air at the same time, so one guy couldn't be doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
So Sergeant Green was running up there throwing grenades on the bunker, but they landed on top.
Mm-hmm.
Going off wasn't hurting anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so he said, come running back down there, and he said, "Anybody got a grenade?" And I said, "No, I don't have a grenade. I got a flare."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, give it here. I got to throw something at him." So he ran up there and threw the flare,
Mm-hmm.
and about 15, 20 seconds, the Chinamen were coming over, bailing out of the back end of that bunker with him seeing these bridges on fire.
Uh-huh.
Well, in the meantime, they had me covering him. He ran up there and I'd shoot off just kind of the side of him there a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
make sure those guys would keep their head down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one guy had a burp gun up and he raised up, and I was going to shoot him. I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. That's kind of a bad feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he emptied the burp gun right at my feet.
Mm-hmm.
He had about 3 bursts, and the clip was already gone. But he was about 40 feet away from me, and all them bullets went in the ground right in front of me.
Hmm.
I was jumping up and maybe he got tickled because I was jumping up and down,
Uh-huh.
trying to hold both feet up at the same time. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I found that out. No matter how hard you try.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Sergeant Green got him a Silver Star out of the deal.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know. One night I was telling you before about this guy slipping up on us. I was standing guard duty. I didn't use the BAR. On that guard duty, I was using the M1 rifle.
Mm-hmm.
My assistant had an M1 rifle. So he told me, he said, I thought I heard some noise down over the hill there, like somebody moving.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't go to sleep. He said, be careful. You know. So about 15 minutes, I thought I saw a glimpse of something down there, and I fired down there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they said, give me that nickname.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. They said I hit him right in the head, but I don't know if he did or not.
Uh-huh. Did these things, most of these, did they take place south of the parallel or north of the parallel?
South. Well, we was up north on the side next to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
up in the mountains. We was up there, and we wasn't hitting much resistance up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we was ahead of everybody, so they pulled us back and moved us over on the other side of their line there.
Mm-hmm.
And but we was up above the parallel there just a while. But that was in April and May
Okay.
of
51. 51. Okay.
Now, right after that, when they saw it in that firefight, when that guy knocked that, threw that flare and got that guy out of that bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they showed one of them grenades, and it went off in concussion, blinded our platoon sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only man there higher than a corporal.
Mm-hmm.
And well, there's 13 of us left. We started out with 42 men.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks later, we had 13. And the platoon leader was the first guy to get our platoon was Jinx toward platoon leaders. They
Mm-hmm.
lost about 4 or 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
We had one guy, he made it through his tour, but he made sure that he had about 4 or 5 GIs around him, so he'd be in the middle.
Yes.
So get them very.
Did you know how long you were going to be in Korea?
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not till, well, I was there over 4 months, and then they started the rotation system. You had to figure, you're supposed to get you get so many points for whatever your job was. If you're up on up on front, you're supposed to get 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to rotate after 36.
Points?
Yeah, the points.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, I think 48 of them there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I spent a year and 14 days over in Korea.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did the terrain that you had to deal with, I mean,
Mountains,
did
not like it is down there in Fayette County.
uh-huh. Did it ever give you any trouble or anything? I mean, the terrain or?
Not that much. I could walk with the best of them back then.
Oh yes.
I had that. Of course, I had a guy out. He was a black guy. It was a ranger.
Mm-hmm.
This ranger company was attached to the 7th Infantry Division.
Mm-hmm.
Now he outwalked me
Mm-hmm.
because going up this hill, I had that BAR. It's 23 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Had 25 pounds of ammunition. Everything all together, you had about 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The weight. Well, he had an M1 rifle, which is about 25 pound, 25 or 30 pound less weight,
Mm-hmm.
and so he got up on the hill there. And we was out running. We were walking off and leaving everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had an executive officer. He would walk you pretty much because he'd have only thing he'd have a pistol, 45 on his side, and if you had 50 pounds of weight, you got a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Did most of the transportation, I mean, most of the time when you were moving in Korea, was it mostly on foot?
About half and a half.
Mm-hmm. What kind of vehicles did you guys use for
Well,
transportation?
only time if they was moving us a pretty good distance, we on 6x.
Mm-hmm.
Old the ones we had over there then was the same ones they used in the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the newer ones with a single axle, single tire on them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so
Did you take part of any operations with foreign nationals on your side?
we were just we had Ethiopians. We was up down this ridge, had a long ridge line.
Mm-hmm.
We was up on the upper end of it, and we had Ethiopians.
Mm-hmm.
The short ones was about my height.
Hmm.
No, about 6'5", 4'5",
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to run all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We seen we seen one of them stop. He was running there, and he just went over and flopped down, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys made the comment, said, "Hey, acting like a GI."
Uh-huh.
So, but most of that, and they far about every night too.
Mm-hmm.
And one night I could hear them down there firing their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy from Michigan, he had a BAR, and he's right behind me on this finger and he opened up, and I said, "Uh-oh, something's going on," or he wouldn't be firing.
Mm-hmm.
So he fired probably 15 or 20 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I asked, "What was all the idea you firing your BAR?" I always said, "I just want everybody else is shooting. I wanted to too."
Oh.
Said, you had me thinking there's something down there real, because
Uh-huh. I know you mentioned some things about nighttime, but I mean, was a lot of the operations and a lot of the fighting at night?
we didn't hit it a whole lot at night. No.
Okay.
One time we was there. They hit Fox Company instead of us,
Mm-hmm.
and I was scared then. I figured some of our heavy weapons, the guys would run up or overrun Fox Company's position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a guy by the name of Hanson got this Congressional Medal of Honor after that. I was probably 75 yards from him down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't bother Georgia Company, just that one company they hit.
Hmm.
And he had wound up having 22 dead Chinamen in front of his buck.
Mm-hmm.
He had a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
Machine gun. His machine gun was out of ammunition. His 45 was empty, and he had blood on his. He had a bayonet there,
Mm-hmm.
and they said blood was on it too.
What were the sleeping conditions? I mean, when did you sleep and how did you sleep during any sort
Well,
of?
the sleeping like that, most of the time you dig a hole,
Mm-hmm.
get down in it, go to sleep, or have one real close by.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one time we was in there's pines there,
Mm-hmm.
small pines all over the place there.
Mm-hmm.
We got in there sleeping, and now there for a while I had a assistant for carrying my ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Korean. Called him Papa Son. He was 37 years old, and he kept us from freezing to death many nights. He could put in there, take water and make fire out of it,
Uh-huh.
because everybody else would take that old wet wood and stuff and light it up and burn.
Uh-huh.
But one night there, he was waking me up, snoring.
Uh-huh.
And I'd shake him and wake him and holler at him. And the staff sergeant there was there with us. And he said, you shake him and wake him up. And said, then you go to sleep and snore louder than he did.
Uh-huh.
So I guess just laying on the wet ground.
Mm-hmm.
One time we was, the NCO's got little air mattress, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this tech sergeant, he got an air mattress and he's down there and he didn't get a very good ditch around his tent.
Uh-huh.
It come a big rain that night. It floated him out. He floated out of his tent.
Uh-huh.
When the rain started hitting him in the face, he woke up.
Uh-huh.
He had to go hunt him another place because the water got him over.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did you have any personal feelings about the conflict? I mean, as a whole, the conflict in Korea.
Did I have what?
Any feelings about the conflict?
Well, I don't know what to say.
Just the goal, America's goal, and
I just might have done what somebody above me told me to do.
Yes. Okay.
And,
all right. What was your opinion of your officers?
most of them was good. We had one guy that come in, and everybody likes him. And we moved into the position, and he was up there, had the squad leaders up there telling him how he wanted things got set up there. And on the next hill over, there must have been a bunch of Chinese over there. They opened up a machine gun, and the first action he seen right there, he got killed. He dead before he hit the ground. Machine gun bullets, 2 or 3 of them hit him. And we had another guy that would come back and laugh and was telling about what bullets. One of the guys had to carry the camera. He was a camera buff. And it comes so close to him, it cut the strap was laying against his back, and it cut the camera. A bullet hit his camera strap and cut it. And the guy said he just started quivering, flattening out. And it started quivering and they're shaking, and he was really hugging the ground.
Were you aware of any of the officers, any difference in the officers of, some of them being schooled officers compared to any that were promoted from the ranks?
No, I never knew.
Okay. All right. Did you have any experiences, I know you did, but do you have any comments or you'd like to make about the mud? How you guys kept clean during if you were able to, and the water?
I had the same pair of shorts on for 31 days. Take them off, I stood up. But one time we were supposed to go take a shower and everything. Everybody got ready and went down there, and something was wrong with it, and the thing was broke down. So some of the guys went down there beside the creek and just got the water out of the creek and washed there a little bit. Now when I went in R&R, we thought we was clean, and some of them Japanese girls said, "Woo, you smell like a man." We thought we was smelling great. Seemed to be. They had the other idea.
Did you experience any problems with yourself or anyone else with the cleanliness during that time? I mean, with any sort of causing any illnesses or anything?
No, not that I know of. We had one guy in the 2nd platoon from Kentucky. They quit sending him out on patrols and stuff. He couldn't wear shoes. He would walk around. Shoes hurt his feet. And he was in a different platoon. I heard guys talking about him. But they got to where he just had certain duties around the horse. It didn't take much walking.
How did you keep from getting frostbite and things like that?
Well, there's a whole lot of guys did.
Mm-hmm.
I know my nose peeled off.
Mm-hmm.
He got it's in must have been in February.
Mm-hmm.
It was up on this hill, and you go through the kitchen. They had a tent for fixed into a kitchen. Go
Mm-hmm.
through there and get coffee be boiling hot. You take it out, and if you didn't hurry up and drink it, it'd turn into ice on you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys was hollering. The cook had a thermometer said it was 29 below zero.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one guy in that same time. He sucking burned his shoes right off his feet. And one of the other guys loaned him a pair of shoes he had.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck him in the fire and he said, "No, don't you burn my shoes up." Oh, but
Just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, they finally shipped him. He didn't make it.
Uh-huh.
They shipped him back to rear
Mm-hmm.
because he was. So,
Did the weather vary there? I mean, was there warm? There was warm times and.
yeah, pretty warm. I remember. It wasn't real. It was cold rain,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting on. I had my helmet liner on my head,
Mm-hmm.
and the metal part of the helmet that I have sitting on it. Water, that old cold water at about 50 degrees or something like that, running down my back, off of my rear end, right into that helmet,
Mm-hmm.
and every once in a while I get up and pour the water out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was talking about being miserable. That was really miserable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When did you you finally get to know that you were going home? I mean, how was that?
Well, I was in the 8th day of January, '52.
Uh-huh.
They told me, I don't remember who told me, but somebody from the orderly room there told me to get my gear and get ready. I was heading home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the time I got checked out of there. It was 27th of January
Mm-hmm.
'52 when I landed in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm. So you said during your time there they changed from a point system, so the point system wasn't.
Well, they had some other, pretty much point system they had there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. How was it the ritual? I mean, did you have an elaborate welcome when you came home? I mean, was there any?
Well, my family there,
Mm-hmm.
glad to see me.
Okay, but it wasn't like an entire unit at that
Oh,
time.
no, they showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay. Were you able to make use of the GI Bill in any way for any sort of vocational training or
I
schooling?
didn't do anything till back in the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
After I retired, see, I got out and got a job, and working up in Ohio, working in the brickyard.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me home. See, there was 4 of us joined there at a service together the same
Mhm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
My dad owned a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he was blind. He had a dynamite go off in his face and blinded him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there was a couple of boys hanging around there at the store there. Army recruiter come by and stopped and was talking to them. So I went over to see what was going on. He got me too.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it all started. And in my 3rd week of basic training, that's when the Korean War started.
Mm-hmm.
So my best buddy went over and come up missing at Chosin Reservoir. And we also got friendly fire too. Aircraft come over and scraped us.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Did you have any other experiences with other West Virginians? I mean, I know you just mentioned your friends that you
well,
enlisted with, but
They, none of the other guys in our squad or anything there was from West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
They had a guy from West Virginia. I know that one guy was from West Virginia. But he was in a different platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the buddy I got most acquainted with was a guy was from Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to my, well, in 1959, so he was driving a truck, and he made a comment about having a buddy there in West Virginia. The guy was riding with him. He said, "Well, where does he live at?" And he said, "Well, Valley Forge."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, got a map out and looked up and he seen it." He said, "Well, that's not very far out of the way. Let's go see him."
Uh-huh.
So he pulled in over, and I was joined the Air Force then. I was in 1959,
Uh-huh.
and I was down in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I don't know exactly how he got to where my dad was,
Uh-huh.
but anyway, he pulled in front of the store building there, and my brother walking out, and he said he thought that. Why, he said, well, how he done it? He said, he looks younger than he did the last time I seen him.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, it was my baby brother.
Uh-huh. I
And
see.
so he found out I was in. Then after I got out of the Air Force, the phone rang and my son answered it. And he said, Dad, I asked him if Dad was citizen. I was overseas. I went over. I spent 2 tours over in Thailand too.
Uh-huh.
But while I was over overseas there, the wife had the phone put in her name,
Uh-huh.
and he come and looked at the. He went over to where my dad lived. My dad had already passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked them people that lived there about the Harrah. He said, nobody knows that. And one of the guys said, "Yeah, I know." He said, Earl King up there, he got to carry out beer. The grocery would carry out beer.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he knows everybody around here. Go up there and ask him. So he said he went up there and asked that guy. He said, well, he lives over at Beaumont somewhere. I don't know exactly where. But so
Mm-hmm.
he come over there and got about halfway over and he seen a phone booth there. But the telephone book still hanging in it.
Uh-huh.
So he went and had up my wife, the only hair that was in the book there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my other wife. The first name was my wife's name.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, Dad, you over in Korea? And I said, yeah. I said, here, some guy wants to talk to you.
Huh.
So it was him. He's going to hand me up.
They came to visit.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's neat.
We visited back. We go back and forth. We've been about 5 different times going to down to Pigeon Forge
Mm-hmm.
down there at the reunion.
For the reunion.
Yeah. We're going to have. They've been having them in September.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? Possibly
Well,
advice to.
One thing is there, when I come back to Fort Knox, I just pull details and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They volunteered me to go out to Nevada
Uh-huh.
to one of them Avon tests. So I went through one of them. They used us as guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I gather, about most of them guys are already dead.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview, sir.
Okay.